As the investigation into the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepee enters its second week, a ghost from the past has suddenly materialized, potentially rewriting the narrative of the case. While the public has been fixated on the pigeon-toed figure caught on alleyway surveillance on the night of December 30th, investigative reporters from Fox News Digital uncovered a disturbing digital artifact. A 911 call placed from the Tepee home address on April 15, 2025. This call, made at 2:45 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, roughly 8 months before the couple was found dead, introduces a layer of complexity that challenges the random intruder theory and forces detectives to look deep within the couple's social inner circle. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. The recording is a masterclass in tension. It begins with a hang-up, a common red flag for dispatchers that indicates someone in the house might be afraid to speak. When the Columbus 911 operator called back, a woman answered, her voice audibly thick with tears and distress. "I'm okay, I promise. I'm just emotional," she told the operator. When pressed about the reason for the initial call, she admitted, "Me and my man got into it, but I'm okay." Although the call was eventually coded as a domestic dispute where assistance was no longer needed, the date and time of this incident are now under a forensic microscope. The central question for the Columbus Homicide Unit is whether this emotional, early morning dispute in April was a precursor to the violence in December. Spencer's brother-in-law, Rob Mislay, has moved quickly to provide context, stating that the family does not believe the weeping voice belongs to Monique. Mislay suggested that the Tepees frequently hosted late-night gatherings and that a guest, another couple, was likely involved in a private altercation. However, for veteran investigators like retired NYPD Detective Tom Smith, this explanation doesn't close the door. It opens a new one. If the Tepee home was a hub for late-night parties, it means a wide variety of people had access to the property. This brings us to the most baffling physical evidence: the lack of forced entry. Detective Smith points out that in modern townhomes like the Tepees, security is often handled by digital passcodes. If the couple was known for hosting large groups, how many people actually had that code? Smith notes, "If I'm having a party and I have a passcode, I'm giving that passcode to people so I'm not constantly answering the door." This raises the terrifying possibility that the killer didn't have to break in because they were already invited by the digital history of the house. The shadow in the alley captured on the morning of the murders may not have been a stranger prowling for a vulnerability. They may have been a former guest returning with a grudge and a key code. The forensic signature of the shooting, described as overkill, further supports the theory of a personal, targeted attack. Dr. Spencer Tepee was shot multiple times, while Monique suffered at least one fatal wound to the chest. When a killer fires more rounds than necessary to neutralize a victim, it is almost always an indicator of personal rage. Investigators are now cross-referencing the April ghost, the woman on that 911 tape, and her man with the guest lists from every party the couple hosted in 2025. They are looking for a fallout, a dispute over money, or a professional slight that might have turned a friend into a predator. Detectives are also re-examining the 9mm shell casings recovered from the master bedroom. While these casings provide a mechanical fingerprint of the gun, they also provide a window into the killer's state of mind. The shooter left the children and the family's golden doodle unharmed, a move that Smith describes as too neat for a random robbery. Random burglars are often erratic. They panic when faced with a dog or the sound of children, but this killer was composed. They focused their violence on the adults and vanished into the 20-degree night, leaving the children to wander the house until a wellness check was called nearly 7 hours later. The investigation is currently a race between digital forensics and old-school legwork. While the cell tower dumps will identify every phone in the area during the 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. window on December 30th, detectives are also conducting dozens of interviews with the inner circle. They are asking about the April 15th party. Who was there? Who was the couple getting into it? Did anyone leave in a rage? Every person who attended a gathering at 1411 North 4th Street over the last year is now a potential witness or a potential suspect. As of today, the pressure on the Columbus police is immense. The public is demanding to know why a person of interest hasn't been named despite the existence of the alleyway video. However, as Detective Smith reminds us, this isn't a television show that resolves in 60 minutes. Police are likely holding their cards close to their vest, waiting for the ballistics to match or for a DNA profile to return from the 9mm casings. They are protecting the integrity of the case to ensure that when an arrest is made, it is airtight. The story of Spencer and Monique Tepee is no longer just about a double homicide. It is about the unseen cracks in a suburban sanctuary. The 2021 wedding video remains a haunting reminder of the couple's beloved status, but the April 911 call reminds us that every house has a backstory. Whether the shadow in the alley is a stranger or someone who once celebrated on those very steps remains the question of the year. But one thing is certain: the forensic narrative is building, and the silence of the Tepee home will eventually be broken by the truth. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button. As the investigation into the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepee passes the 10-day mark, the Columbus Division of Police and forensic analysts have begun to synthesize a specific profile of the individual seen in the alleyway. This profile is not based on guesswork, but on the cold, hard data of the crime scene and the behavioral signatures left behind in the early hours of December 30th. While the killer remains unidentified, the evidence paints a clear picture of a suspect who possesses two specific traits: a deep familiarity with the Wineland Park area and a high level of composure under pressure. The most striking piece of evidence in the suspect's profile is the method of entry. Because investigators found absolutely no sign of forced entry, no broken glass, no damaged locks, and no prying marks, the profile of the suspect shifts towards someone who understood the logistics of the Tepee home. In a modern townhome where security is often managed by passcodes or smart lock systems, the perpetrator likely possessed the digital or physical means to enter without creating a disturbance. This suggests a suspect who was either part of the couple's broader social circle or someone who had observed the household closely enough to learn their habits. This lack of noise during the entry is likely why the family dog, a golden doodle, did not alert the neighborhood, and why the children remained undisturbed in their rooms. The behavioral profile of the suspect, captured in the person of interest video, adds further detail. Detectives have highlighted the suspect's pigeon-toed gait and the deliberate way they kept their head down. This is categorized by forensic psychologists as surveillance awareness. The suspect was not a chaotic intruder. They were aware of the presence of cameras in urban alleys and took active steps to minimize their visual signature. However, the distinctive way they carry their weight, the walking signature, remains the most identifiable characteristic. This gait, combined with the dark hooded jacket and gray pants, is the primary focus of the BOLO, Be on the Lookout, alerts issued to the Columbus public. The ballistic profile further narrows the scope. The recovery of 3 9mm shell casings in the bedroom provides the mechanical link. The shooter did not use a rare or obscure caliber, but rather the most common handgun caliber in America. This suggests a suspect who had easy access to firearms but also a calculated sense of economy. By leaving the children and the dog physically unharmed, the shooter displayed a level of mission-oriented focus. They did not commit a mass casualty event. They targeted the adults with specific, lethal intent and vanished back into the 20-degree night. This orderly crime scene is a major factor in the police's determination that this was not a murder-suicide or a random burglary gone wrong. Currently, the investigation is centered on a digital dragnet. Detectives are cross-referencing 3 specific datasets: the cell tower dumps from the 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. window on December 30th, the guest lists and phone records associated with the April 15th 911 call and other social gatherings, the Nebine ballistic records to see if the 9mm signatures match any other documented crimes in the Ohio region. The family of Spencer and Monique Tepee, while devastated, remains an active part of the pursuit of justice. Through their spokesperson and brother-in-law, Rob Misley, they have continued to urge the public to look past the graininess of the video and focus on the mannerisms of the figure in the alley. The GoFundMe, now a lifeline for the 2 surviving children, stands as a testament to the community's refusal to let this case go cold. The solution to the Tepee double homicide likely sits in the hands of someone watching this video. Police believe that someone in the Columbus or Athens area knows the person of interest or has seen the dark jacket and gray pants in a different context. Review your footage. If you live in the Wineland Park area or near North 4th Street, please review your Ring, Nest, or dashcam footage from December 30th, between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. Look for the pigeon-toed gate or any vehicle moving through the alleys. Identify the gait. Do you know someone who walks with their head down and a distinct pigeon-toed stride? Small physical mannerisms are often the missing link in surveillance-heavy cases. Report anonymously. You do not have to give your name to help. If you have information regarding the events of April 15th or the morning of December 30th, contact the Columbus Division of Police Homicide Bureau at 614-645-4730 or provide an anonymous tip through Central Ohio Crime Stoppers at 614-461. Tips 8,477. Spencer and Monique Tepee were pillars of their community, a dedicated dentist and a joyful mother who were building a future for their children. Their lives were ended in a 3-hour window of freezing darkness, but the forensic trail they left behind is bright. Every share of this video and every tip submitted brings us one step closer to ensuring that the shadow in the alley is forced to answer for what happened in that home. We will continue to follow this case as the forensic results from the 9mm casings and cell tower dumps return. And as always, you've been watching True Crime Story Vault, where every story is told with facts, empathy, and respect for those who can no longer speak for themselves. For more true crime stories like this, hit the subscribe button and comment your thoughts below. Until next time, remember, the truth is never buried.